Welcome to Verify in Field, the Millwork Podcast. Here's Jacob.
Welcome back to Verify in Field, everybody. I have today with me two guests, and they are both from an association called United Waste Compaction. We've got Peyton Finical of Sasquatch Waste down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and then we also have Fred Miller, who is with Junk Crushers up in the Pittsburgh market,
That's
I believe,
us.
right? So both of them represent separate companies that both offer trash compaction services, mobile trash compaction services. And if you don't know what that is, you're going to learn today about it. But ultimately, it is something that I think is really valuable to anybody who has dumpsters in a lot of our millwork manufacturers out there. I've seen some that are already using this service and maybe don't know what it's called, but I'm excited to have them tell us a little bit about what this service is and how it can benefit us in the millwork industry. So thanks for joining me today, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
So to get started, could you guys just define for us first what it is you guys do? Mobile trash compaction services. Essentially, you guys have a product, well, not a product, a truck that comes and goes around and crushes trash, essentially, right? Can you guys define it and tell us a little bit about what the service is?
Yeah, so it's a service-based injury. We basically go to open top containers, and the goal is to reduce the amount of haul-offs that a company goes through.
Yeah. And so this is made possible by a specific piece of equipment that you both use, right? And it's on the back of a truck, and it's a big, heavy crushing wheel that essentially comes on an arm into the dumpster and compacts it to save space on haul-off, right?
That's it.
Exactly right.
About how long has this been around? Like, when did this piece of equipment, this type of equipment, first come onto the market?
Well, I started looking at these probably 15 years ago. And the initial find, that because I was having issues with my dumpster at the time, was in Europe, so not here. And then all of a sudden, one popped up here in the States, and another popped up, and I started following those along. And then we found a third manufacturer. So as we know today, there are three manufacturers of this type of equipment, all of which are based out of Germany and France, crossing right over the border style.
So it's interesting. That's very similar to all the other equipment we use in woodworking. Is pretty much all of our CNCs and saws and that type of equipment has a very similar story. It was kind of innovated and developed, and now still most of them are manufactured in Germany and Europe and imported. And ultimately, for context, for those that are listening that don't maybe have a dumpster, or really maybe they work at a company that does, but they don't deal with that part of the business, they don't understand. Companies are paying per haul off of their dumpster in general, right?
Absolutely.
So no matter how full it is, no matter what you have in it, every time they come and haul it off, you're paying a fixed fee for the most part, right?
Fixed fees, multiple fees usually, but yes.
Yes.
To put a lot of them in there.
Yes. And so it, just environment and everything else aside, it costs a lot of money the more you're having to have that dumpster dumped, right? I mean, that's kind of the number one concern, I would assume, of most of your
That's
clients.
exactly it. That's right to the money. If we can reduce the number of dumpsters they have to use for any job or for an annual year at a warehouse, that's going to be a savings.
Right.
And it's significant. Right. I mean, it's not nickels. So.
Right. And so can you guys tell me a little bit about, so you guys are not the dumpster guys, right?
We are not.
You guys don't provide dumpsters. You don't have dumpsters. You're not the waste people.
As of right
now, both Peyton and I are not into dumpsters per se.
Yes.
In our association, several are actual haulers first. Others are crushers first and have bought dumpsters and now are in that business as well. And others do a share referral system with haulers.
Right. So I asked that because, obviously in any kind of new service like this that, you deal with a lot of skepticism when people find out, or they want to, you're talking to potential new customers or people that are like, what's the catch here? What's the stick, right? And I would imagine a lot of them are probably thinking, hey, you guys are in bed with the dumpster people. Somehow I'm going to get screwed either way. Do you ever encounter that sentiment?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of distrust in the waste industry.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, I always tell everybody at first, the first one's free, and then we'll also go through an implementation phase. And the whole point is because at the very beginning, they think I'm selling snake oil.
Yeah.
So you go in, you go, I'm going to save you money, and there's no strings attached. And exactly your skepticism is exactly what my customers show. And I'm sure, Fred, you get the exact same thing. You just have to be friendly and let them know like you're actually a business that's there to help. And I'll speak for most of the people in this industry. I think Fred can speak for us as far as our trucks and the people who use ours. Everybody's pretty friendly and helps each other out. So I think we show the customers the exact same thing.
Yep. And so for you guys in particular, there are some people that, in your association have dumpsters and get into that, but you guys are not dumpster guys. What do the dumpster guys think of you guys?
Initially, I think every one of them had, if they had a gun, we might not be speaking today. However, that the sentiment is changing dramatically. There's still a lot of the belief in the haulers, like the guys who own the dumpsters, is that we could be damaging their property, damaging their dumpster. But the main thought that comes out is that we're taking the steak off of their plates. I've heard that same statement from owners before. Yes, they do understand compaction. And let's think about this. This is not new. Our trucks are new. Our process is new. But since 1941, compactors have been in existence. All right. And if you go up to a major retailer, you'll find a big box with a lid and all kind of devices attached to it that compacts waste. Right? You will go to a builder's site or construction site, and you're going to find a backhoe smashing into a dumpster. Hence damage. That's where the damages come from.
Yep.
It's not made to
Absolutely.
do that. It works to a point, but the Germans designed a process that is made to fit a dumpster, an 8-foot wide dumpster with no lids attached. So I don't want to confuse people thinking that we can go around and do small dumpsters. These are the roll-off cans. Again, they're 8 foot wide, and they may run as long as, they could be as short as maybe 12 foot, but most of them are 22 foot. All right.
Yeah. So we'll put, hopefully if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but we'll have links to their websites where you can see pictures of what this process looks like. If you're watching YouTube, we'll put some images here of what these trucks look like. But I think you bring up a good point, because I'm sure plenty of people are listening who have dumpsters, have done versions of what you're describing, take their forklift or loader and done some compaction of their own, right? On their own roll-off
Send
dumpster,
people
right?
out there. That's where I found it, because I was the guy jumping in the dumpster, moving around the pallets so I could get more trash in, because I could see the bottom, knowing that it's not full.
Yeah. And especially in like woodworking, right? We're doing a lot of fall off of sheet goods and waste of wood that leaves a lot of void space, right? You're throwing it out a bay door into a dumpster. You've got boards and wood and chunks of sheets and stuff that all ultimately is leaving a lot of void space. And so obviously, yes, in a very simplistic terms, you're compacting space, and it could be seen as taking steak off the hauler's plate.
It doesn't have to
but
be that.
There's a lot of factors.
That way,
doesn't have to be that. Right. And as you mentioned also, compaction exists. And so this was another thing I was curious about, because I used to work in food and beverage for many years as well. Every back dock of a restaurant or hotel I worked at had a compacting dumpster. Now, this doesn't work in the same way, in the same type of trash, but when you're taking out just bags of waste from kitchens, it's compacting and
it works
right?
the same way.
Works the same way. That exists. In that case, the dumpster guys are offering that as a service, right? They're offering that as a piece of equipment. It has its own logistics, and that's a different type of dumpster that needs a different type of truck that needs a different type of, power and all that type of stuff and different space requirements. So, but that exists already. It just hasn't existed as a thing that was mechanized with a tool that worked for these use cases till these trucks came around.
Situation is what we have. Yep.
Right. Okay. Now there are some constraints, I would imagine, right? You have to be able to get the truck to the dumpster or get the dumpster to where the truck can get to it, right?
The same way that the hauler is going to get to it too, by the way.
Huh.
If he's going to pick it up sometime, you can't be parking in front of it. You can't have a load of wood in front of it. He has to have access.
Right.
And we only need the same access he has. In fact, we can go from either side, where he picks it up, which is the hook side, or the door side. Both sides, the short sides is where we back up. And you'll see it in the videos that we back up, drop the wheel, run it, and out.
Okay. So essentially, if they have a dumpster, it has to be able to be dropped and picked up by a truck anyways, that your equipment needs the same access requirements, basically.
And less, because we have a shorter wheelbase.
Do you ever encounter cases where people have dumpsters in tough to access spots, whether maybe they're under something?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We've, the biggest thing is our power lines. And I'm sure Fred can kind of attribute that. Sometimes there's power lines right above the dumpsters. I think, for instance, we probably need Fred, 15 feet of access above the container? 20 to where that arm goes up and goes into. But most of the time, especially like millwork places, things like that, they're in shops, usually on a side yard or relatively close to the building. Those things aren't really an issue, because as far as I'm understanding, as long as the container isn't completely against the wall, we are able to get our barrel up and go. Everything sits inside that container. So we can really fit into some tight spaces. The only thing we'll run into issues is overhead, maybe some heavy trees or things like that. That's really the only that a hauler has that maybe we wouldn't be able to get to.
And so in general, once you have a client up and going, are you just coming by in a schedule, or is it kind of on demand? Like somebody says, hey, can you come by and do this real quick? Or is it both?
It's both. So that's what kind of separates us. There are other franchises that are out there that do kind of what we do. They like to get on the routes, and obviously we do too. But I mean, Jacob, I'm sure you understand this. Trash is super inconsistent. As much as you would like for it to be, it's all project based for y'all. If things are going good, like great, your trash is going to be building up, and kind of I feel like that's how it correlates. If business is going well, then trash is generating well. So most of the time we'll do weekly, and specifically for me, I do weeklies, I do on-call rates, I do like specialty packages for contractors. But once, let's say, like for instance, like Gator Millworks in Denham Springs, they do a weekly. They're locked into a certain rate. So if they want to call me back out that week, I only charge them what I would charge them per week when we compact them, because they're a loyal customer. So they lock into that rate, and we say within 24 hours. And I think Fred's probably the same way, if not most of the time, same day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine that's key, because outside of this service, they're also similarly stuck and waiting for the dumpster haul off probably. Do you ever have customers that are, used to piling up and like triaging trash because they don't have dumpster space? And so they're like basically waiting for space to put stuff into the dumpster to begin with before they work with you guys?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
So yes, the idea of on-demand versus scheduled is how we operate most of our business. And I'd say that in our business here in Western Pennsylvania, we're probably over 80% on demand. And that's because no one has a scheduled filled dumpster every day.
Right.
Those few people that do are the ones that are scheduled. And there's a few others that have enough waste to have us once a week. So rather than call us, they say, just come every Thursday, or they pick a day. They may call us earlier in the week and say, you know what, we need you now. And we just switch the date.
Right.
We offer here in Western PA, anyone who calls us before or contacts us before noon, we're there same day, guaranteed. So,
wow.
And that's a big part of why we get hit. And by the way, our phones blow up about between 11:15 and 12 o'clock every day. And then even after 12, you get everyone like, oh, I forgot to call. Oh, I really need you. And we do our best because we operate trucks that just completely just drive constantly. They just go from one site to the next. The route is not a route other than the next stop. It's changing every day, every call. So
that's the deal.
it's
You're
pretty crazy.
exactly what Fred said. Most of the time we're getting called in a pinch, and we got to get out there and go get them. So that's kind of what it is. I know sometimes too, one of the biggest things that we'll get phone calls for are those overfill fees. When dumpster companies kind of hit you with a drive-by and go, it's too full, you're going to have to do something with it. And the dumpster company kind of expects you to get in there and throw the trash off the top so they can actually haul it off. I don't know. There's not been a true solution for that. It's just a pass by. So now with us, that's been a lot of, hey, the dumpster company, that's how we got introduced. I don't know, Fred, if you're the same, but we've got introduced to a lot of companies that way. Hey, the dumpster company can't come pick us up, but what do we do if we get charged for an overfill pass by fee? Can you come hit me? And then that'll get us introduced. And that's kind of a good thing. So much so that I have overflowing dumpster as a keyword for our website. So like if somebody's looking up what to do.
So I didn't realize that. So people can overfill a dumpster and either the dumpster company won't pick it up or they charge a fee to pick it up. And I imagine that's really common. And so they can overfill it and then you guys can come and compact it to fit basically.
That's the thing that gets us in the door is honestly, it'll go from 110, 120% full down to 50. And they're like, why was I hauling this thing off to begin with? And then most of the time they call off their haul, and you see the whole proof of our business within that little pinch of emergency.
Right.
Sadly to say, we've been to so many customers that have called us for that reason, and the hauler's there. We're able to get there quick enough that the hauler either come back a second trip, which is probably a fee, but most of the time we're quick enough that the guy is doing something else. We pull in, crush the box. We pull away and they take it. The sad part is the owner of that box or the renter of that box, he got away without having to pay their overcharges, which is more than a cost of a crush, by the way. But he didn't get the actual use of the extra, all that space, because now they're hauling away a half-empty dumpster.
Oh, right.
It happens quite a bit. And that's usually where we can step in and say, you see this does now. Don't wait for this to happen. Don't call your hauler until you've crushed it at least once. And by the way, what really works is probably two, because you fill it, you crush it, you fill it, you crush it, you fill it off and haul it. That's that. And we have many guys who, especially in the wood business, because pallets and crates take up so much space that when we crush them, the return is in unbelievable. You can crush the same box 4 or 5 times, and it's still worth the value, and you never hauled it.
Right. And in general, this is like a contactless service for the customer, right? Yeah. I mean, it's like call you guys, and essentially your truck is in and out. Nobody even interacts with them, right?
Yep.
That is probably a lot of the calls, but we have a lot of interaction because now that they realize what we do, they're asking us to stick around for a minute. We got some more for you. And then the forklifts come around and start dropping stuff in.
Yeah.
All right. While we're there. And we offer, and what's happened to grow a lot in our business just this last year is hourly compactions, because instead of us just coming, hitting and running, they want us to stick around. And it's well worth it. They're saving even more money doing that because we're already there. We don't have to drive a second time. We don't have to charge a fee to get there. It's all done.
Right. And so I know we'll have links and we'll put some images of this, but I'm trying to visualize for everybody, like you said, okay, so say they fill up a dumpster, your compactor can come and a lot of times you get 50% space out of that, right? And this is essentially made possible, talking a little bit more technical. It's a big steel drum, essentially, with spikes on it, right? And then a really heavy weighted truck, right?
The wheel, that's the apparatus that goes into the can on top of your trash weighs 3 tons.
That the wheel itself has the weight.
It's actually the wheel and the arm because everything that would be laying in the dumpster. So the combination is just over 3 tons. Basically, the wheel's 3 ton. There's a little bit more on the arm itself because it's steel too.
Yeah. So for my mill workers, imagine a big laminate roller taking that and crushing the trash in your trash can. That's essentially what you're doing with this. It's just a very big, heavy wheel on an arm, and you're rolling the trash and smushing it down in there, right?
And there's teeth on it, so it chews it up.
Yeah,
as well.
Have you ever been asked to use the truck for something odd, something else aside from compacting dumpsters? Have anybody ever been like, "Hey, can you flatten this pile of dirt," or something odd like that?
Life request.
Yeah. Yes. Two main questions. Do you actually look in the box when you crush? Because what he's thinking is, if I throw my wife in there, would that be okay? All right. And my constant reply is, you have to duct tape. The second question is, can you crush that car? Because they're pointing at the Beamer, all right, the owner's car over there. And my reply then, which doesn't really work, but you have to put it in a dumpster. I only crush stuff in the dumpster. Cars don't crush, by the way. That doesn't work.
I've crushed a car before, Fred.
Parts,
really?
I do. We tried one. We just molded up. It didn't really compact it like you would think. You see the junkyards where they can turn them into a square. Well, we can't do that. But we mold it pretty well.
Yep.
Interesting. Awesome.
I'll give you a compare. If you want to figure out how much this actually works, I would assume that pretty much all of your clients have pallets that bring product to them, and they either ship them out or throw them out. And the sad thing is, today pallets are mainly, if not all, being disposed of rather than reused.
Right.
If you take a 30-yard dumpster, which is pretty much standard, at least in our area. I don't know, Peyton, are you mostly 30s? Okay, all 30s. How many pallets can any of your clients put into a dumpster if they just put them in themselves? Think of how that might work. We can tell you, and it's been documented now, that 350 standard, those are the 40 by 48 pallets, can fit in one if you do it properly. That's a lot of pallets. If you try to stack them in neatly, and by the way, again, a lot of people who don't have a backhoe or other piece of equipment that they'll screw around, try to make this work, will send people into the dumpster, which you shouldn't ever do that, but it happens. And we've watched builders open the door and hand carry every piece of garbage in there, lumber, boards, whatever, and pack it perfectly. I mean, like a puzzle, like a jigsaw, like a Jenga, all right? And it's packed perfectly to the top level. And they say, well, what, you can't do better than that. Yes, we can. We crush that 50%. It still goes down 50%.
Yeah.
And then the guy says to me, then why have I spent hours trying to put this stuff in here so neatly? And I'm like, I don't know why. Because you didn't have this before is why.
Yeah, you didn't know this existed.
Yeah.
Something else that I've seen in a number of shops, one of the shops I was at before, they particularly in woodworking shops, is an influx in chippers. And so for like wood waste, a lot of them, they will put, it's a big piece of equipment to have sitting in your shop, but they'll have it next to their saws and stuff that they can put fall off pieces in the chipper, and it chips it into smaller chunks that then goes in the dumpster. Right. Mm-hmm. One, I would imagine even after that, there's still some compaction you can get out of chipped wood. Absolutely. But potentially that's also a piece of equipment that they don't need at all. If you're able to compact it anyway. I mean, that's a solution to the same problem they're having it for, is to save dumpster space.
Yeah, it's another partial solution. Yep.
Right. Yep. Have you encountered that with any, or something else is like dust collectors? I wonder how much can sawdust itself be compacted?
I've done it before. Sure. Not with Gator, but another Millworks place, and they had a chipper and they had a whole 30-yard filled with chippings. The problem is that because our trucks don't use hydraulics inside the containers, it uses those teeth to crawl across the trash, and when it's sawdust, it doesn't get the traction to go. So it really, and then the sawdust goes all over it. It kind of moved around. It doesn't
making a mess. Yeah.
It's not so much the mess. It's just that I can't, the wheel won't move. The dynamics of how the truck works is our truck lifts the wheel off of the truck or the drum off the truck and puts it in your trash. Once it's there, that's it. It's done. The only thing that makes it go from end to end so we can get all of your trash compacted and pulled together and broken is the spikes, because that's the traction.
Oh, so the wheel drives itself. It's not the arm pushing it.
No, the arm just finishes, drops it down, and it's over. At that point, the wheel does all the work, and it's just strictly 3-ton rolling back and forth over the trash, and it keeps going down, 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 down. Not much different than if you would take a small trash can in your office and put your foot in.
That's really how the forklift. That's how like the front end loaders and stuff like that. That's how those or front loaders. That's how those work, right? They all use that. So that was actually an interesting story. We work with a pretty big industrial plant here in Baton Rouge, and they use us every day. We're out there hitting boxes, and one day they used a front end loader. One project, one time, they damaged a container. We had been working with them for a year and a half, had not had a single damage, almost even to the point where LSU is actually doing a stress test right now, using simulation and numbers and weight of the barrel, weight of how the dumpsters are made, and they're elongating over 10 years. Like, will our machines damage a container? And we haven't gotten the results back on it, but it's looking favorable. But that one project at that place, they used one front loader and it damaged a container. In a year and a half, we've not damaged a single one.
Interesting.
Yeah. We've done thousands and tens of thousands of crushes, never damage.
Okay.
It's built to do this. That's the trick.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but you guys are also a member of a United Waste Compaction, an association of like companies that use the same piece of equipment around the country, and it sounds like starting to expand even outside of the country, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because Peyton, Fred, you guys represent separate entities altogether, two different companies in two different markets, right? But what's brought you guys together is this association. Is that right?
Yep. That's correct. Yeah. Sharing the same stories, the trials and tribulations of starting a new business that no one knows exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a very similar association. Like AWI is in our industry. A lot of our customers are members of the Architectural Woodwork Institute, which is an association, a trade association of disparate members, companies around it, and they come together. The best practice groups share best practices and the like. And so I imagine it's very similar in that regard. That you guys are able to look to each other for advice, best practices, commiserate with headaches and problems and helping lift things up. So what do you guys see in the future? Innovations, changes, whether it be the dumpster guys, customers, you guys as technology and businesses. What do you kind of see coming in the future?
Honestly, and I'll let Fred say what he thinks. I feel really confident that a lot of our people are either going to get into the dumpster space or at least the waste broker space. It's kind of been a kick to the dumpster industry that's not really changed for a while, and I think this is kind of exposed, or kind of what we like to say is tore the veil of what it's supposed to look like in dumpster world, and just this one little technology has kind of flipped it. And I really see that a lot of people are going to kind of lead the way with this compaction machine to get into dumpsters and probably at least facilitate dumpsters.
Totally agree. I think the underlying fact is that the trash haulers compact everything else they pick up except these open tops. By the way, they also sell, rent, lease compactors that you see on the back of buildings they'll do those too. And for 30 grand, you can buy a unit, then you have someone mount it and install it, and then you maintain it yourself because it's yours to maintain, fix it, train people how to use it, try not to use it wrong, all those type of things that are going to happen.
Right.
They're going to break down at some point and you have to have them fixed. And the real thing happens now is when it breaks down, how long does it take to get it fixed? Because you're used to having that trash compacted. And if you're a busy site like a giant retailer, you're filling that pretty much daily. And if
Right.
you lose 2 or 3 or 4 days, where's that trash going? Do you have enough space to put it inside? Probably not. You put it outside. Does that affect your leasing agent, your owner of the property, or your township or your municipality? It certainly does. We've gotten calls strictly because they were going to get fined. They have too much trash. Well, how do I get rid of it? We'll call a hauler, get a hauler to come over. We'll probably even call a contractor with a backhoe or forklift or something to come and load all this stuff into these dumpsters so we can get rid of it for them. And by the way, they'll have, I had to do a large retailer home builder or not home center, and he had 13 parking spots out back of his property where his cars and employees parked, full of boxes within boxes within boxes. They had packed them as much as they could, and it was raining, and they had no dump. They had one dumpster that the guy dropped off, and we went and put it all in one. Unbelievable, 13 parking spaces full of super lots of trash, and it all went into one. So the volume, we can't say how much the weight is going to increase because it depends on what you put in it. You know,
Right.
a pound of feathers is the same as a pound of rock, but it takes a different space. Because they know the efficiencies of not having to drive their big truck, go pick up one of these big dumpsters and then drive it to the landfill and then drive it back. Okay. That's what they're doing. They don't have a compaction process. So most of these dumpsters, which I believe in a 30-yarder could easily hold up to 12 to 14 ton, are being picked up somewhere between 2 and 3.5 ton. That's what. That's about the range.
Right. And every one of those has to take up the same amount of time to haul it, the same amount of space in the landfill, line taken, waiting to dump it and then get it processed there and compacted there. So it's ultimately making the whole process from source of dump to the landfill more efficient.
Yes, it most definitely does. Yes, it saves driver time. An average dumpster hauler will pick up about 6.5 dumpsters a day. If he has multiple trucks and he's picking up dumpsters, no matter how many dumpsters he has, each truck usually only gets about 6.5 loads a day because of traffic, time, all the other things that come into play. That's
our
what they
landfill in Baton Rouge is 20 miles from most places, and it's outside of Baton Rouge. So you're talking traffic. The only place on Interstate 10 that goes to one lane. It's a ruckus.
And most landfills or trash fills have a line when you get there. There's trucks in front of you, so once you finally get there, you're in line with dozens and dozens of other dumpster trucks and dump trucks and anyone else who's getting rid of trash into the recycling too. That you can add your recycling into this process and find that, especially now that you might have gained a little extra money because you're saving money on your costs. You can think out of the box a little bit more and say, all that wood I'm putting in there might be some other use for that other than landfill. And there is.
Right.
It's not as clear and defined anymore. We're having issues in Western PA with wood recycling right now. It's because one of the landfills, one of the recyclers is out of business. And when he closed, it pushed everyone to everyone else. And now they're at their max capacity, what they're allowed to have by the DEPA regs that they have to live by. So a lot of pallets should go into a pallet container that gets crushed and then hauled and goes to a recycling plant that might turn it into mulch or other wood variable products. But right today, a lot of it here in our area is going straight to landfill because they can't take it to the plant.
Right. I mean, that's another factor in all this. Like, their landfills only have so much space before they have to be covered up, and you got to find more land to fill with this stuff, right?
Yep. Every centimeter is very valuable.
Yeah. Well, for anybody who's listening, obviously, if they're in, the Louisiana market or they're in the Pittsburgh market, how can they find out more about you guys' services and what you guys offer?
Simplistically, there's one website. No matter where you are, you can look at the one website and it'll give you all of us across the country. And that's the www.unitedwaste compaction.com.
Awesome.
There it is.
Perfect. We
And
will
from
make sure to
there-
link that in the show notes. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, you're showing how this
exactly
wheel
right.
works.
There it
And
is.
then,
That's exactly how it
look,
works.
Jacob, I actually pulled this up real quick just for a quick. So this is gate. We use a company called Company Cam. So like this is a before.
Oh, yeah.
This is it after.
There you go.
Here. So we'll use this one as a good example.
That's exactly like what
That's it.
Millwork dumpsters
That's
look
it.
like. Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
So that was just a little, but yeah, that website is exactly how you can find out about us.
Perfect. Well, we will link that all in the show notes for you guys. I really appreciate you guys taking time to come out and talk to us. I know this is something that's really interesting to many of our listeners. So I'm excited for everybody to be able to go there. Yeah, United Waste Compaction, you can go there and search your area and what companies like Fred or Peyton are in your market.
And if you're going to call us, call any one of us, please make sure you say that where you heard it, right here on
Verify and Field. Yeah.
Ductworks Podcast.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you coming on, and look forward to seeing many more people benefit from what you guys are doing.
Thanks much, Jacob.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Do you want to stay up to date about industry insights, new content, and our community of millworkers? Go to ductworksmw.com to sign up for our newsletter. I'll see you in the next episode of Verify in Field.